Hi everybody, I'm Chris Montero. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about owls. The first part of this video we are going to discuss about their adaptations and natural history, and at the end we're going to dissect an owl pellet. And if you don't know what an owl pellet is, don't worry, we're also going to explain that. I want to thank OBDK for this opportunity, and let's begin. So, this presentation is called Amazing Owls. And the reason for that is because you will see once you get to know owls, you'll be surprised about their adaptations, the way they capture their prey, and the extraordinary things that they can do that is just something different, and they set them apart from any other bird in the world. The owl that you see on the screen right now is a barn owl, and we're going to put a lot of special emphasis in this particular group. Now, it's always very important to start with a little bit of taxonomy. Taxonomy is the way researchers and scientists around the world classify organisms. And by understanding this, you can get very quickly a lot about the natural history just by knowing the name or the family or where they have been classified. So all the owls in the world have been classified in two families. The family Strigidae, or typical owls, and the family Titonidae, or barn owls. You have a couple of examples of each of these groups of birds, and you will see similarities. You know, they have big eyes, round faces, powerful claws, but also they're different enough to be in different families. Now, to understand this, how different they might be, I have an example that I think most of us can understand very well. In this case, mammals, and we're talking about the family of the cats on the left and the family of the dogs on the right. We have a jaguar, the largest wildcat of the Americas, here, the family Felidae, or felines, and on the right side, the family Canidae, the family of dogs, and in this case, we have the wolf. These animals in this particular case, they tend to be quite large as carnivores. They have a very important role in the ecosystem also. They have adaptation like sharp teeth, to cut meat or kill their prey, but also have a lot of differences. Think for a moment how different a cat and a dog might be. Think about things that cats can do, like retractable claws, versus dogs that cannot do that. Well, that is telling you how different a barn owl might be from a typical owl. Now, so let's start talking about the family of the typical owls, or true owls, Strigidae. This is one of the smallest ones. It's a pygmy owl, and they have even the pygmy owl that are among the smallest ones. They show all the typical characteristics of what an owl is: big eyes, round faces, nocturnal habits, powerful talons, and silent flight. And we're going to discuss in detail more about these features later. Now, I found online this beautiful collage of photographs of different species of owls. This family is the most numerous in the world. Depending who you ask, in terms of taxonomy, some researchers will tell you different numbers, but we know there are around between 160 to up to 200 species, and maybe even more species of owls, of true owls in the world. And they're all the continents except for Antarctica, and they're adapted to survive in all sorts of unique ecosystems. You can find them in tundras, you can find them in savannas, tropical rainforests, and some of them are very specialized. There's a kind of owl in the tropics that almost specializes eating bats only. Other species of owls, for instance, are so small, like the pygmy owls, that they eat insects. Just look at this slide here just to understand the difference in size. Some owls can be really big. There are some species of fishing owls, for instance, in Asia. The wingspan is almost 6 feet from tip to tip, from each tip of the wings. And for instance, the smallest owl in the world is not the one that you're seeing on the screen here. It's called an elf owl that lives in the southern part of the US and northern Mexico. And the elf owl is only 6 inches tall. But still, again, you can see the prototype of the owl, present in regardless of their size. Now, here we have an interesting thing. We have screech owls. Screech owls don't change color. They come they can be in two different morphs. Some of them can be very rusty and orange, like the ones you see on the left, and some of them can be more gray-like. But one feature in many of the true owls or typical owls are these tufts of feathers. People call them ears. They're not related at all with ears. They're used for camouflage. And camouflage is important for owls for multiple reasons. Well, they protect at daytime, but they're more vulnerable. They protect them from other potential predators. But also the fact that they need to rest. Look at the owl on the right, and look at if that owl is motionless with those tops up, and they even change the shape of their faces. It might look like a broken branch, and that's important because I have a naturalist tip for you. Often, when you're walking in the forest and you notice a lot of small birds gathering together and being very loud and usually circling a particular spot, often it is because they haven't discovered the resting place of an owl, or an owl is just trying to sleep, or a raptor in general. It could be a hawk. And I'm sure many of you have seen falcons or hawks being harassed with tiny birds as small as a hummingbird, and they just move away. So keep an eye if you in the forest if you see a lot of little birds gathering and making a lot of noise, ruckus, because they could be an owl or a hawk. All right, now we're going to talk about the barn owls. In terms of species, there are less species. There could be between 13 to 17 species, but this is the owl that covers more ground in the world. They are in all sort of habitats. They have a very, very wide distribution. And all the typical look of the barn owl is what you're seeing in the screen. They have these round faces, this very cute face, look like to me like a teddy bear or a stuffed animal. And they tend to be very pale. They have browns and blacks and white speckles in the top of their bodies and in their backs. Now, one interesting thing that I want to share with you is when we think about the sounds. If I tell you, think about the sound of an owl, we all have learned that in movies and documentaries, what like the classic or something like that. Now, in the case of the barn owls, their sound is completely different, and let me share with you the way they sound. They have this loud screeching sound, and believe me, it's very, very painful to hear in close proximities. Many people have described it like, yeah, it's piercing. So that's the typical sound of a barn owl. Now, this is very, very important here. We're seeing the face of barn owls. Look at this particular shape of their heads. They have this flat face, but also with this disc-shaped edge. They have all these whisker-like structures of the feathers in the central part of their heads. And I want to share with you some skulls to see up close and talk a little bit about their eyesight and their hearing. Here we have a couple of skull replicas of two different species of owls. This is a great horned owl, and this is a barn owl. We can appreciate some similarities like the hooked bills, which is one of the trademarks of raptors, powerful bills to kill their prey. We can also see some differences like the proportions of the eyes. Owls in general have very, very big eyes. They are so big that they're fixed in place. The muscles that hold the eyeballs are fixed. But some species rely more on using their vision to find their prey than others, like the great horned owl here. Just look at this eye sockets. This will fit some massive eyes. Barn owls, they still have very, very big eyes, but one of the superpower of owls is their hearing capacity. They have very, very sensitive hearing. And here we have a sketch of a barn owl just to remind us their shape. And look how different it looks, from the skull. Remember, they have this facial disc and this particular structure of their faces. Basically, their faces act like a radar antenna that funnels sounds into the ear openings that are located here. Now, one interesting thing with owls, the ears are in different heights. This is what is called asymmetrical, and they're shaped differently. So that creates a tiny, tiny difference in terms of the timing when sounds reach both of the earrings, allowing the owl to triangulate the location of a prey. Like, if that is not amazing enough, also the ears of the barn owl are tuned to different frequencies. All this combined creates a super powerful hearing sense that is so sensitive that allows an owl to hear the tiny footsteps of a mouse under several feet of snow in some cases. Think about that. Now, because of what we already learned about their eyes in a fixed position. They cannot move their eyes up and down as we can do. They have to compensate by this by rotating their heads. And they have very, very flexible heads. An owl can rotate the head on its axis 270 degrees. And just to understand this number, picture this. I'm looking at the screen. This is 0 degrees. 90 degrees will be on my right shoulder, 180 degrees will be on my back, and 270 degrees will be on my left shoulder. So if I could rotate the head like an owl, I could just go like this and keep rotating, which I can't, and my head will just rest on my left shoulder. So of course they have adaptations in their arteries, and all the blood vessels on their neck, because I mean, think about twisting your head that way. Our arteries would snap. Well, owls have special adaptations in the vertebrae and the flexibility of their tissues to prevent that to happen. So it's interesting, if you see a video, you have the opportunity to see an owl, just pay attention. And they do this adjusting of the heads just to see better, because they cannot just rotate their eyes. So flexible necks is one of the adaptations. Now look at the talons. Look at those claws there. They're carnivorous birds, remember, that's why they have the hook bill, and they have very powerful talons. This is again resemblance that they have with eagles and hawks. Well, now think about this. Have you ever seen up close chicken feet or a robin feet? Think about how many toes they have. They have 4, right? 3 pointing forward and 1 toe pointing backwards. Well, owls have a very distinctive feature in their feet, that they can rotate the 3rd toe all the way back to then having 2 toes pointing forward and 2 toes pointing backwards. This feature is called zygodactyl feet. And some birds do this, like woodpeckers, for instance, parrots and parakeets, they have this similar type of zygodactyl feet. In case of the owl, all these flexible toes also allow them, when they're going to capture their prey, they just spread their toes, they form like a net. The unfortunate squirrel or bird that is in the way there of those talons, basically they will not find a way to escape. Now look at these powerful claws to kill and immobilize the prey, and to take off carrying the prey in their talons. So this again a feature that you will see in carnivorous birds, and owls are very, very, very well adapted for this. Now let's talk about flight. One unique feature of barn owls is the flight. They can fly very, very slow, and they can be incredibly quiet. They make 0 sound when they're flying. Part of that is because their wings are proportionally quite big to their bodies and torsos. So you look at this photograph, basically the head and the body is hanging underneath the wings like a gondola. Because the wings are so powerful, they have to flap their wings very little. Now think about what generates sound is the motion of air. If the bird is moving their wings very little, it's generating already very little sound. So it's very, very quiet. And also this, again, the capacity, because the wings are so big, they don't need to move them that much. Often they're like frozen in the air, the way they fly. And a barn owl can fly as slow as 2 miles per hour. Think about that, only 2 miles per hour. It's like almost suspended in the air. No wonder why people call them ghost owls in some areas. They have like this ghost quality. Now, there are 3 adaptations here why owls are also so quiet when they fly. Part of that is they have this velvety consistency in their feathers. When you can look at touch the wing of a barn owl, you can feel like it's almost a waxy consistency. So all these adaptations that you're seeing on the screen basically are like silencers for sound. And the soft fringes in the back of their wings, also they have like these little structures, that also muffle sound. And in the front, they have these serrations that look like, like combs, like little hooks curve upwards. And again, all the combination of structures make these owls extremely silent. And that's important because, well, one way, of course, they don't want to create a lot of noise to approach their prey in a stealth way, but also because of their sensitive hearing that we spoke before, also they don't want to create a lot of sound. So owls are incredibly, incredibly silent when they fly. And finally, we're going to discuss about their prey. Owls are carnivorous birds, as I've mentioned several times. They swallow their entire prey, could be a bird, but mostly is rodents. And we'll return to this point later at the end of this video. But they swallow the entire creature. Look at the photograph on the right. You know, there's the back legs and the tail hanging like whoop, and it goes in. By doing this, the owl is consuming a lot of material that it doesn't have any nutritional value. And how to get rid of that? This material that doesn't have nutritional value, I'm talking about like hairs, feathers, bones, claws, and such. Well, the owl will just get rid of something called an owl pellet. And the owl pellet is basically, think about like a cat, you know, they throw a hairball, like, well, the owl pellet is similar. The owl just release all these substances. It's not vomiting, it's just like coughs and release one of these owl pellets, usually one per day. Could be even two if it's having a really good availability of food. So right now we're going to dissect an owl pellet and see what can we find. I always say this is like treasure hunting because you never know. My favorite things to find in owl pellets are skulls. All right, so let's switch to the other camera and see if our owl pellet. And here we have one of the pellets of the OVDK. They're nicely packed. It has a little brochure that shows, you know, where how pellets are formed. We'll talk a little bit about that. And we're going to take one of the pellets and dissect it and see what we find. We have this. We're going to need some tools. They come with this nice chart to identify some of the bones. So you don't need to be an expert in animal anatomy, memorize all these weird names for bones. You can just always check the chart. And we are going to start with this one. Wow, that's, that's one of the best starts ever. That was incredibly easy. Wow, this is, oh, you know, there's not a lot of mystery at this one. This is funny. You never know what you're gonna find with owls. This particular one has a huge bird skull. And you don't see this very often. Actually, the first time I have found a bird skull in mine. So what we're gonna do is break the pellets carefully. You have to be gentle. There are a lot of little bones, and if you start doing it very hard, you can break some of these bones. That's not what we want to do. And again, to me, always for them, after it's a skull, as I was showing you a few moments ago, there's a lot of elements of the natural history and the ecology of an organism just by looking at their skull. But this one here is just like, this is an easy one. And I'm cutting this open. Oh, this is a very compact one. One important thing is these owl pellets they have been packed in a facility and they are already sterilized. If I will be doing this in the field, which I have done a couple of times, when you find an owl pellet in the field, I will put rubber gloves just in case, because there can be contamination of bacteria and, you know, some nasty stuff that can get under your nails. You want to deal with that. But in this particular case, again, because the company OVDK supplies these pellets, they're already completely sterilized, so I have no problem. I just do this with my bare hands. All right, this is really, really compact. In case you had doubts that we have a bird, look at this. And we have already some feathers. One feature, if I haven't found the skull right off the bat like this, knowing that we have a bird in the last menu of this owl, bird bones tend to be very light and fragile. Remember, they have a lot of air chambers because they have to be extra light for flight. So it's very unique to hold a little, you know, femur or leg bone of a bird in your hand compared to a rodent of a proportional size. More feathers keep coming, and something really, really stuck here. All right. And this, by the way, is a good sized bird. Okay. This definitely looks like a femur to me, with a leg bone. Let me show you here. There, that's what I'm thinking about. Femur is the leg bone. So I'm gonna start to be a little to do this in an organized way. Okay, try to separate more. Feathers keep coming out. And again, you know, the material in feathers and hair is, you know, it's mostly keratin, it's nothing so very digestible. Oh, I think this is a wishbone, the breastbone. So I'm gonna put it there. Just by size, I already can have a pretty good idea of what species of bird this one is. Let's keep digging. All right, this look like part of the leg bone. Yes, yes, yes. Oh, it's folded. Look at this. All right, this is what I was telling you a few moments ago. Okay, this is still attached with cartilage. It's amazing. So we have almost the entire leg incomplete, you know, and here we're seeing the tibia and the fibula. See, this is the lower leg, and this is the knee, and this is the thigh, the femur that goes attached. So this is the almost the entire leg of the bird. All right, and we keep finding feathers, more feathers. I don't know this particular one here. I think it's a rib, small rib. So we have almost an entire leg. And we found toes or claws yet. No fibers, feathers. I think I found another bone here. Just checking the time, we're still doing good. Whoa, all right, this is the base of some feathers too. And just by this robust base, you can think probably it's part of the wing. Remember, this owl ate the entire bird with a chewing and cutting it to pieces. The owls don't do like hawks or falcons that sometimes they peel their birds, they remove their feathers. I can here see a fragment here. This could be part of the scapula. I honestly don't know. The chest bone is, and again, it's like paper. It's very, very fragile. It's very interesting the way it feels. And it keeps pulling pieces here, and more feathers keep coming. Oop. We found here another, this is the other leg. So you can see if I still put it together. Let's be a little organized here with our skeleton. It's part of the, this one is here. So we have entire leg there. Two legs. And, ooh, is it the jaw? No, I don't think so, no. No, this is the arm bone. It's called the humerus. And again, this is the upper arm. Yes, no doubt. They have a very robust base in birds. Again, you want to compare it here with the sheep. The sheep, this is the bone that I'm talking about. Oops, let me just show it there on the camera. I'm not showing very clearly. What else is in here? Sometimes I use this to poke more fibers, feathers. The skull is emerging. Look at this beautiful bird skull. I think I'm gonna keep this one. Okay, the eye sockets. And this is the jaw still attached here. Oh no, this is the keratin cover. You know, it's an interesting thing. On top of the bone, birds have this soft keratin. Keratin is the same material for nails. And you see the cover just fell there because it was a little sloppy removing it. It's still keeping some color, some oranges color. And just by that and shape, I would dare to even tell you, I suspect this is a robin. Or a relative of any kind. Now you can extrapolate because robins are so abundant, size matches and everything, that we might, I would call it an educated guess or uneducated guess that we have a robin skull here Wow. All right. Doing good. Well, there was an interesting finding just right off the bat. No rodent in the menu for this owl. I have to continue cleaning it up later. At least that will give you an idea. And you can see the eye sockets here, parts of the on the beak. A pretty amazing jaw. And again, as I said, never have found, this is the lower jaw, so the entire beak is there, this robin. But anyway, that was a good pellet. That was a fun one. And now I'm gonna switch cameras. All right, that was fun. And now that we are concluding our video, I want to talk a little about the importance of owls. First of all, they're carnivores. All the carnivore animals, they play a significant role in their ecosystems by keeping their populations of their prey unchecked. In the case of the barn owl, the main type of food are rodents. A barn owl will consume about 4 mice as an average per night. If you multiply this for the life expectancy of a barn owl, that we're talking about 4 years, you'll find out that an average barn owl will take care of consuming about almost 6,000 rodents. Think about the importance of this in farmland, or we have food production areas as pest control. And this is why owls are an important ally of human beings. The worst injustice is people sometimes don't really understand the role of raptors or carnivores, and they even kill them without a justification when in reality they are allies. So I want you to remember this, and if you care about owls and want to help them, you're already doing that by watching this video. So please share this information, and I hope you have now the curiosity to learn even more about owls. And in some areas, you'll find out their organization doing a tremendous effort to protect the habitat for raptors in general. Maybe you can even get involved with one of these projects in the future. I just want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I just want to say goodbye until next time. Bye.